the Democratic Alliance. Oh, Chief Whip, are you satisfied? Okay. The Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chair.
Is it you and Honorable Kola Barnett?
That's correct, yes, Chair.
You will tell me when you are done. Thank you so much.
Yes, Chair. I just want to confirm we have half an hour to split between the two of us, correct? Do we have half an hour between the two of us?
You have 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
2020, so it means at 6:10,
Yeah.
when we break, you are the ones who will take us to break.
Okay.
Because we can't go beyond 3 hours in a session.
100%.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you, Dr. De Haas. I want to start by asking, do you enjoy speaking to the media or to give interviews and statements or public talks about these kinds of allegations?
I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy any of this. I don't get paid for it. I risk my life. I give my time. But nobody else does it. And that's why I do it. Yeah. Sorry. Of course, sorry. Are we still working both ways?
Would you say that in these public forums you present your views with a great deal of confidence? Would you agree?
Generally speaking, yes, I think so. I do. I try to. I mean, when I put out public reports, people can say that's wrong. They can interrogate it further because I'm very against any secrecy.
May you please come and sit here so that you can face it? Because I see that I have been a teacher before. You know, a teacher always wants to get that. Yeah, you sit here and then talk directly to.
Okay.
Answering that question. I'm a therapist. I put that up. I've got quite a loud voice anyway. Oh gosh. Where do you want to go?
The chair to go up a bit. Yeah.
Thanks.
You can sit down. That's it.
I understand how society works and how power structures work, and how in a democracy we need maximum freedom of information, and we need bureaucracies that aren't patronage networks, and we don't have them. They're a counter to governance to balance the power in society. So I start with that context, and then I try to do my best to see what's happening in the police, where the abuses are, and I try to be, I'm asked for comment, and I don't much like it. It can be quite a nuisance, especially television. I hate it. And at the same time, I do want to convey information publicly because the public can then run with it, find out for itself, do things, including political parties. I started back in the 80s by complaining to a political party to ask them to do something. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. So by what we've heard today, the allegations that you made are not based on your own direct or personal knowledge, are they?
Well, personal knowledge in terms of what people have told me.
No, but what you've experienced.
Some of it I've experienced on the other end of my phone with people.
What you've physically experienced.
Well, it depends what you mean with physically experienced.
I'm saying that it's not gossip. It's not gossip, it's fact.
Let's put it that way. But I haven't been through what the people I talk to are experiencing.
Have allegedly experienced.
Well, they tell me are experiencing. Of course, it's all alleged until you, well, I've seen sometimes you have the medical evidence in these things, or sometimes people are threatened and they get killed, and that's evidence.
Respectfully, Doctor, we don't have the luxury of saying that and just saying we report something for someone else to deal with. I'm going to come to that now in my next few questions, but I want to use an example for you. Were you present in the events that you previously accused General Johan Boysen of? I think it was just before 2018, around there, regarding the Cato Manor Squad. Did you experience any of the things that you accused them of?
Well, okay. Let's look at that. I don't know why you're bringing this in.
No, it's very relevant. I'll show you now.
Very relevant. I was getting complaints from taxi operators about members of his unit taking kickbacks and working with one faction in the taxis.
But did you see evidence of that?
Well, there's a person who wanted desperately to give evidence who was working with them.
Respectfully, Doctor, did you or did you not see evidence?
I've seen the videos of it.
No, but did you see evidence? Yes or no?
Okay. There was one man who was killed by the unit. The police told me what had happened because the networks, a man who'd witnessed it, and he had no vested interest. He was a white guy. He was horrified. He told me exactly what they'd done. The lawyer himself, a lawyer had also phoned me and said, what was Boysen doing there? Now, I don't know why you're bringing this up.
I'll show you now. But that's not, you don't have to question that. I'll show you why. There's a run-up in this because I'm concerned about the lack of evidence. Despite all your public statements, not one of the things you've said so far, you keep on saying you wrote to Parliament. Trust me, I know. I've got an entire folder with letters, but very few case numbers where you made statements with specific cases, with specific evidence, where you were able to literally go and open a docket at a police station. So my questions regarding that, have you ever gone to the police, let's say in the last 5 years, for a formal sworn statement?
Yes.
Where are they? Why haven't you?
No, hang on a sec. Depends what you're asking.
No, regarding any of the allegations that you've made in your statement, similar to with Johan Boysen, let's talk about the statement that you've submitted to us. Have you done anything to lay charges at the police?
Now, hang on a sec. This is not quite the same thing. I never opened. I wrote to the organised crime unit. It was not up to me. People I worked with opened cases, not me. I just wrote and asked questions. I did not personally ever, until what happened then was, before the Sunday Times, I think, read that article, they were looking at taxi violence, and I put them in touch with taxi members. Right. There was I don't know, you may not have seen this. A taxi driver whose members had all been shot dead got an interdict to stop him being killed. And it was clearly as MEC, against Boysen, against the minister. And the evidence was there, torture, this, that. He got the interdict. And a few weeks later, he was shot dead by the very people that he got the interdict against. Now, I mean, I wasn't.
Do you know that? Do you have evidence for that? Do you have evidence for that, or is it just hearsay?
Well, it's a court finding that it was serious and that there was an interdict.
No, but was there evidence that was the reason for him being shot?
Well, it was linked to the taxi conflict in the area.
No, but you see, this.
What I'm saying, okay.
I'm gonna
Let me give you one case where the evidence is crystal clear. A 16-year-old child.
No, but is this relevant to what I've asked you?
Well, I'm talking about evidence. I'm saying in some of these cases there's evidence. And this is not about the case.
No, but any of the questions I've asked you now, do you have evidence for any of those?
What do you mean? The question about what I wrote to the task team about, what I wrote about the task team.
So, yeah, let's say for the task team, did you open any cases regarding it? Do you go put down or make any statements or open a docket regarding the task team allegations that you've made?
Who could I open it with?
With the police, the South African Police Service.
Well, when the provincial commissioner is helping to run the task team, what's the use of going to the police to open a case when these people are already facing cases and it's up to the court to decide? Why should I open a case?
Yeah, but that's a very convenient answer because you speak about it publicly and you condemn a whole lot of things, which is your right. But then you need to probably prove why you've condemned certain things. I might even agree with you on certain things. The point is just that you can't just haphazardly say these things in the media as though it is fact when we actually don't know if it is fact. Have you ever submitted any kind of an affidavit to any court or possibly to the MPA or let's say to IDAC regarding any of the allegations that you've made in your statement?
Well, as I've explained, I didn't know that IDAC would. I didn't know that I could go to IDAC. I think I have sent it to some judicial bodies and got nowhere to ask, what do I do about this? But you see, what you're saying is I can't do much until these cases proceed in court. But when there are common themes about abuse, about acting unlawfully, and when there's no need whatsoever for this team, the only people I can go to are the minister and the parliament to try and take it further.
Isn't it a fact that by speaking publicly but not officially, you avoid any legal consequences for your words?
No, not at all. I mean,
but you said you make it public while you leave it for someone else to verify. So that means I can go on any platform and I can say what I like, and Honourable Ngola or Honourable Matthys, any one of them would need to go and verify it.
I do it because I've been doing it for 40 years and I've been proven right, including by charges against hitmen brought on my evidence.
But on 2018 with Voisin, you were found to be wrong. High Court overturned it. There was an interdict and the court made it very clear that what you had said was not accurate.
I'd said, I didn't make statements against Voisin, I challenged.
No, I've got the article in front of me, News 24, I'll send you the link. The next one, you will agree that such a possibility exists. Let me start with this one, maybe.
I'm confused now because I wrote to I believe that if you want to focus on Voisin, I believe the racketeering charges were wrong. There was no evidence, but I believe that in some of those cases, like the taxi driver, there was independent police.
Let me refresh your memory, Doctor. You said that the original report on the Cato Manor squad, you couldn't see why anything would be wrong in it. That's what you said, despite the fact that court later proved the relevant.
I did not approve of the charging. I never said that the racketeering charges. I did say that I realized that there were charges that should have been brought. In fact, Advocate Batoy sent the dockets back and told the advocate in KZN
so you
to evaluate.
There was a mistake in what you said. There was a mistake in what you said.
Mistake. What was I talking about?
Well, I'm telling you now that regarding today and the questions we've asked or I've asked you regarding General Boyson, is that I would not go as far as even saying, yes, I hear what some of my colleagues say. I would sue you for defamation. You just haphazardly say things about people. We don't have that luxury because if we do that, we get ethics complaints against us. And I can refresh your memory on that as well. Are you aware that General Boyson took your allegations to High Court? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, and have you?
And you're aware that the High Court ruled? Are you aware that the High Court ruled in his favour, finding the allegations to be baseless? Are you aware of that?
They found the allegations against racketeering were based. The cases dragged on. They were withdrawn. They were sent back to the provincial DPP for an individual assessment, which I think should have happened. They should have been.
But you are aware, the point is you are aware that High Court ruled in General Boyson's favour, finding that the allegations were baseless.
When was that? That they ruled that it was baseless?
2018. I'll send you that link as well. The court, after examining the actual evidence, disproved the very gossip you have been spreading. Your campaign against General Boyson, in fact, has been legally discredited by a judge. And you've previously justified your refusal to name names by citing a right to remain silent. Am I correct?
Now, hang on. Is this when the charges... I'm confused. Is this when the charges against all of them were withdrawn after years and years of the carrying on, because the Boyson charges had been withdrawn before that, as I remember. And I think the Boyson charges were completely out of order. There was at that stage, no evidence for racketeering.
Dr. de Haas, let's clear the slate, because I think we're speaking past each other. In terms of what was said today, you said today that the right to remain silent is a protection for an accused person facing criminal charges, isn't it?
Well, that is part of what's allowed.
You're not the accused here. You're a witness, or at least you are posing as one. Do you understand the difference?
Well, I was called because I'm a witness, I take it. Or no, I was called to give evidence. I'm not a witness to any. But what I don't understand is I don't know what this has all got to do with what is happening with the task team, because it's a very different situation.
Well, it's quite simple. You made certain allegations. You don't have evidence to back it up. We need to see the evidence in order for us to write a report, to make recommendations to Parliament. So you're not the accuser, you're a witness. A witness has a moral duty to come forward with evidence, not to hide behind the rights of the accused. So do you understand that?
The accused also have rights, you know.
But you're not the accused. That's my point. You're not the accused, though. You're the witness. So when you invoke the right to remain silent, you're either fundamentally confused about the law, or you're using it as a shield to avoid accountability for your unsubstantiated claim. So which one is it?
Look, the only thing I have refused to divulge is the names of policemen who gave me information. The rest is public. And I wrote to Parliament hoping they would call people in and interrogate the matter. Right. You know, did you get orders? Tell us. Show us the orders you got. Did you get this, that, the other? Now, I have a duty as a human rights defender to report abuses. I have got nowhere, I'm afraid. And I mean, that's another whole story, that IPID itself is not functioning properly. There's a whole story there.
But
and
let's pause. What you said.
What I could do is go to Parliament and say, will you just call the minister in and ask him these questions and see if...
You just said you have a duty to protect people's rights, correct?
Yes.
Don't you have the same duty to not defame people or to not make wild accusations without evidence?
Wild allegations. I'm making allegations.
So everything in your statement you've got evidence for.
Look,
and don't get me wrong. I know that sometimes we have to join the dots.
Evidence. In this statement, I'm reporting very clearly what people told me and what appears to be credible information that I want investigated. That's why I read
what
this.
Appears to be.
How do you know? You can't say it.
You just said it. I'm just quoting you.
But I'm just saying, it seems very likely when different people say the same things quite independently, when they talk about the torture, when they talk about the seizures, when they talk about this, there's a parallel, different people who don't even know each other. I have a duty to say this is a pattern. It's a pattern that's that's emerging. And that's what I'm saying, and I want it investigated.
You are 100% correct that you need to report those things. What I'm saying to you is that if you make accusations, public statements and accusations, like earlier when you're saying certain people aren't legitimate, I can't remember the exact word that Honorable Skosana used, but I think he asked if certain people were credible. If you make a statement like that, you need to be able to back it up. You can't just make a statement because of what someone else said. I understand that sometimes you need to join the dots, 100%. Sometimes we don't know 100% of something. We know 80% of it. And I get that then we have to speak about context and openly say we're not sure about this or that. But to just go out with sweeping statements and to create the impression like everything is wrong or everything is fine creates a significant misrepresentation. I want to ask you, and just as a correction, maybe, you said earlier that Parliament didn't respond to your complaint from late last year. Parliament did. And in fact, Parliament even forwarded your complaints to the Minister of Police, to the National Commissioner as well. So just to let you know, that was done. And the response was sent to you. We did acknowledge receipt. In fact, Babalwa Mbengu was the one that...
Acknowledged receipt, but after that I did
but
more.
It mustn't create the impression that Parliament didn't respond.
Well, it was a receipt of something. I don't know what you did with it, because you didn't tell me.
Well, I don't need to, but in January, we had that session about the political killing task team. We had the first round then. It was eventually postponed to another month, but we ended up doing it. So...
But I mean, I didn't get any notice of that, so I didn't know that you
But
had
then you
done
can't,
it.
exactly. Then you can't just make the statement. Before you make the statement and you sign on the dotted line, you need to make sure that it's credible. We can't just make a sweeping statement about what we do and don't do, because it creates a total and utter misperception of our work.
Well, look, I've had responses in the past to say thank you and we'll do this or do that, and I didn't, so I assumed nothing was being done. But thank you for correcting it. No, I hadn't been told that before.
Dr. Haas, I'm going to, in the chair's absence, I want to hand over to the Honourable Kola Barnard.
Yeah, no, as the acting chair, thank you, Honourable Cameron. Honourable Barnard, it's your time now.
Thank you very much. Just to go back, because I was there during the whole business of the looted 45 million, or attempts to loot the 45 million, the notorious 45 million. It seems there were many careers destroyed by that revelation of that 45 million. The then Crime Intelligence Financial Officer, Brigadier Tiani Hlangwane, stopped the money and the purchase of the notorious grabbers, and was immediately facing disciplinary hearing and was eventually dismissed. Robert McBride, as head of the IPID, was very vocal about it, spoke very openly about it in the Police Portfolio Committee, and he was then promptly suspended and had to go to court. The courts cleared him, and the upshot of all of that was he was refused a second term. What confused me was when we were listening to Cedric Nkabinda, who I gather is coming back, that the decision to prevent Robert McBride, as then head of IPID, for standing for a second term, was taken elsewhere, not in Parliament, before the committee even sat to take the decision, which it seems, and indeed seemed very obvious to me during the meeting, that it was all predetermined. It was a hatchet job of note. In fact, I think I walked out in utter horror at what was going on. And it seemed to me that at that stage, Parliament was just being treated as a rubber stamp organisation. The decision's already taken, there's the rubber stamp, just click it, tick the box, move on. Is this perhaps an example of the political interference that has been so much spoken about of late?
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was because, I mean, my feeling is, and it's not, it's peripheral to what you've said. I mean, I think, and your committee, if I remember rightly, was a good committee. Were you on the committee before Beckman or after, during Beckman? He was a very good chair, yes. And I mean, if you look back, going right back to after Zuma became president, there was a gradual, more and more interference in government institutions by ministers. And I mean, there's like, for example, yeah. And at that time, it must, I mean, as I said, I can't comment, but I would agree with you that it seems to have been all arranged beforehand, before the, you know, that McBride couldn't come back. But what I do know is that, I mean, an IPID itself became very polarized, very, very polarized. After that, I think it was, I got the most awful letter from them where they were all fighting among themselves. And the other thing was that the person that was appointed to head IPID, I don't think had the competence to do it, because I'd worked with the police reporting officer, which became something else and then IPID, from the beginning, and there were always prosecutors or advocates or prosecutors in charge of IPID. And I think this person lacked most of those qualifications, be that as it may. But I think your point is very important, because I went to the Portfolio Committee in the last Parliament and gave evidence about why there had to be completely independent oversight of IPID. And I drew on a whole range of information from European countries where the ministers don't come near it, or people have been in the police for a while. I remember saying to Berkman, we've got a head of IPID in KZN who was a police general. How could we have that? We've got policemen who were working in an area that are now in IPID. You've got to have independence. And that's in my submission. And I think the DA also agreed that the legislation that was passed, I think you opposed it. I think the DA opposed it. But the majority won the day, and I believe, and I'm saying this because I think, bear it in mind, I believe that new legislation does not give sufficient independence to IPID, because it still allows the minister to have a hand in it. That was what I think. And I think there was probably intervention by ministers then. Certainly, I know from people in KwaZulu-Natal, clearly was everywhere and doing everything himself instead, and of course he wanted Sithole out, and I mean, yeah, but I'm sure there's political interference all over the place. You can't get prosecutions of people like Clearly.
You refer on page 100 of your additional documents to what to what you call malicious arrests, this in relation to the PKTT. Please expound on that claim.
They appear to be malicious. They certainly do. I mean, the fact that charges were completely withdrawn against Mzindli on fairly minor stuff for which he'd been refused bail, and against another man too, Vete, they were withdrawn. Dlamini, why on earth is he being charged and refused bail for allegedly defeating the ends of justice? And he told me that in the disciplinary case, the one witness they relied on had admitted that he'd been told to sign the statement. So that appears malicious. I can't speak about the Cato Manor people, but there is a consensus out there in the community, but hey, they didn't do it. And even a policeman told me that the other day. They're not the people who did it. And I've traced it back again to factual disparities in Tekwini that are likely. But my problem, with it's not just the task team doing this. In Glebelands, they went in and they kept charging people because they were opposing the councillor. And I went in, one of them was charged. He was badly tortured, limping. He'd been really abused. I went into his hearing and I was sitting there, and one after the other was getting up and charges were being withdrawn. And the charges were withdrawn against the abused guy. He lost his job in the meantime. And it became a common thing to deal with political enemies. They brought malicious charges in the 90s against Vilagazi, who was arresting IFP wards. They then brought malicious charges against the top investigator who was getting to the root of the intra-ANC violence in Richmond. And they were maliciously charged. So I've seen this happening, and I'm wondering if it's a way of kind of discouraging. Nothing's proof until you get everything out in the open in a court case, and people can go along and give their evidence. But what I am concerned about is this creeping culture of secrecy, and this is why I will defend myself about giving the only opinions I give to the media. It's sending people off to do their own work that I'm hoping to do when I go public. But I'm really concerned. I'd also given evidence about that secrecy bill. I was very alarmed. There was a creeping culture of secrecy. The Mufamadi report said 6 years ago it is urgent to get civilian control back. And it hasn't happened yet because, as you know, the Honourable Kola Barnard, as you know, that report was driven through Parliament last year. The law was, and only enacted this year. So we've lost 6 years. And in the meantime, there's no real control over the intelligence agencies to speak of, even by Parliament, until we get the Inspector General's office sorted out. I think that's a priority.
You referred to move to page 102. You say, and I'm quoting, dead men tell no tales. You're referring to the political killing task team, and you claim that the PKTT kills rather than arrests. Now, do you have any figures, any stats? Do you have any proof that that is happening? I live in KZN, and I am of the opinion that police killings have increased, but I have no proof.
No, look, I don't know if it's linked. I mean, the killings that have increased, and these are reported in the media, and your colleague, Honourable Breitenbach, sent a researcher to me to get information about it. Dozens of killings, no witnesses. In one case, I know that the man who, a member of one of the police teams, it wasn't the political killings team though, another team altogether, is apparently notorious for killing people, just shooting them dead. And I also know, because our mortuaries, you'll be hearing a lot more about that, or the Justice Portfolio Committee will, I'm a member of a medical rights group. Our mortuaries in KZN are dysfunctional, starting with when Glormo was MEC, when he also killed cancer patients with corruption. And that is in a report. I mean, it's not my hearsay. Right. Glormo also sided with criminal employees who went out on strike illegally and did everything, and they lost most of the good pathologists. The equipment doesn't work a lot of the time. To cut a long story short, our medical rights group that's got the former head of law, it's got one of our top pathologists and medical people, sent a report to the Law Commission requesting that the mortuaries be taken away from the Department of Health and put under an independent board. Because we don't know how many of these killings were deliberate and how many not. But we know in one private post-mortem that was done by the very same policeman allegedly killing other people, that the top pathologist said the 4 or 5 deceased could not have posed a threat to the police. But we can't get further. So Parliament is going to be getting more lobbying because we're going back to the Law Commission. They ignored us. We said, we want this taken away. Put on representatives of the police, justice, Department of Home Affairs, health. It's got to be an independent board. There's a trade in body parts going on in the Durban mortuary. Whole bodies disappear sometimes. So, I mean, this is the problem with any police killings right now. We don't know, but there's been a spate of them. I mean, I think for Glynis's researcher, the Honourable Breitenbach's researcher, I gave her a list of some of the names that I had, or some of the details, but we honestly don't know whether they were justified or not. But I don't know, they're not linked specifically to the political killings task team. It's linked more to the extraordinarily high numbers of people getting killed by
in KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking at much of what you've written in the reports, it seems you're putting the cost of the political killing task team in juxtaposition to the relatively small number of political killings versus the over 70 daily civilians killed nationally. I don't know what it is in KwaZulu-Natal specifically. Cost-wise, the political killing task team does appear to be incredibly well-resourced, but I don't want to use the phrase bang for the buck, but you understand what I'm saying. The money spent there in relation to perhaps boosting other of the specialized units may be more effective. I don't know if the study has been done.
No, I don't know either. All I know is that right now there's an area in Camperdown, which is near Maritzburg. Some of it is restitution land. Some of it's small private owned. There are 3 court interdicts on that land to stop invasions. They're being ignored. Land housing mafias are coming in with rifles and threatening and intimidating. People are desperate. And there's not an operational response person in sight. That's where they should be. Now, and yet we're spending the money running around with the task team. Women are telling me in townships, former townships around Durban, we know about the Cape Flats, but it's mayhem in townships. They say they can't sleep at night for the gunshots. That's why I'm making this thing about guns. They say kids are running around with drugs and guns, and then nothing's being done about it. These are ordinary, decent people. We're talking about mothers who are so worried about their kids. Talking about on Saturday, the kids that were studying for the matric exams up in the Matuba area were robbed. They were studying for matric at night with their teacher, and along come the thugs, rob them, terrorize them. No, please. No, I mean, we've got to do something about police resources. We've got to balance them. I mean, the farmers are still saying they're attacked for political reasons. Well, we know that story. But, I mean, it's been broadcast in America by Trump. But the point is it's rural safety. It's a symptom of lack of complete rural safety. You don't hear about all these black people that are getting killed all the time in those areas. Even people in another area, it's restitution land. The man who's leading the anti-mining movement and even one of the traditional leaders under threat of death. I mean, we've got to balance these resources properly. It's a sheer luxury to keep paying this political killings task team for what's not needed, because we must empower our detectives. We must train them well, and they can tackle everything then. I mean, these criminal cases. Yeah.
My final question. Were you surprised at all when the Inspector General of Intelligence was suddenly suspended by the President?
I was amazed because I'd had good dealings with him. I mean, I didn't know him, but I mean, we had sent him stuff confidentially because it was confidential information about all the front companies and things. And he actually wrote and thanked me for it. He was grateful for it. He seemed to be, from what I was seeing, a big improvement. But look, remember, the post had been vacant for years. But he did seem to be getting on with things, from what I've heard from other people and my own experience, that he was taking what we were sending him seriously.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kola Barnett. Doctor, do you know Sibongiseni Dlomo, Dr. Sibongiseni Dlomo?
Oh, God.
Who was the MEC of Health in KwaZulu-Natal?
Very well. Bad news.
And then did I hear you saying that Dlomo killed a cancer patient?
Indirectly, because what happened was we had almost brand new, there's a 50-page report we sent to everybody, the Human Rights Commission, nobody did. And it was, what happened was that the new cancer machines want service.
Listen to me, doctor.
the new cancer machines were not serviced and cancer patients who were treatable died.
Listen to me, Doctor. Dlomo killed cancer patients with his corruption. Is that what the statement you want to put here?
No, okay, sorry. There was a report from there was a very good investigative journalist who was following it up. I think it embarrassed people, and there was a very good DA MP, Dr. Kika, who was also involved. What happened was this, that the Office of the Treasury in KZN did a report that showed the corruption, that the money had been siphoned off irregularly, that was destined. There's also a letter I have from the head of the department saying, yes, we gave this report to Dr. Dlomo. So he did something, he did nothing, he had the report. Now that's corruption in terms of anti-corruption legislation, if you know something. Anyway, so the cancer patients died because the money to service the machines had just disappeared. Okay. We then write to the Human Rights Commission, they do nothing.
No, Doctor.
But what do you want me to say? You criticize that report.
I got that part. What I want to hear from you is that are you able to reiterate what you said, that Dr. Dlomo killed cancer patients with his corruption?
Can I put it more tactfully? When Dr. Dlomo was MEC for Health, there was gross corruption in the cancer, the oncology. They were almost new machines. They weren't serviced. There was no money. There was a Treasury report about corruption. Dlomo was responsible because he knew about it and did nothing. We don't have to say he killed people, but if you are told about corruption and cancer patients die, you're responsible.
You don't want to say he killed people.
No, I don't want to say that publicly. I was responding to...
You want to withdraw that statement?
I want to withdraw. I want to withdraw.
Dr. Dlomo killed people with his... killed cancer patients.
Well, effectively.
Yes,
let's not say it, though.
Doctor, I want to hear you saying it, that I want to withdraw the
statement. I want to withdraw the statement
that I made about Dr. Dlomo.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
No, I just want to make a follow-up, Dr. Haas. Now, in the light of, you might have noticed that I arrived when proceedings were already underway.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
My own experience since after the lunch break has been that you have been withdrawing a lot of assertions we have made in this meeting. And some of these assertions, you would have made them as passionately as your written statement. Would I be correct to conclude that the level at which you become passionate about something and the vigorous nature of your approach in dealing with that issue should not mislead us to think that, therefore, because of that level of a vigorous nature to the issue is true?
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to look at what I've written and make an assessment on that. There's a lot of material I've sent to you. As I said to you, I'm sitting in a province where I'm dealing day in, day out with people who are under threat of attack or who want justice and they don't get it. So yes, I'm passionate about it. I don't want to do this. I do it reluctantly because people want me to. And you want to know how many messages I got supporting me? Well, you must do that today. Anyway, but at the same time, when I put something in writing, I can justify it with having at least interviewed, formed an assessment that I want taken forward in the finalisation of court processes. And I also, because, as I said, it goes even beyond the fact that we've spent all this money on what appear at this stage to be hardly any successes, given the number of political people died. We can't afford it, quite frankly. We need that money for policing for areas where people are not getting protection, where there aren't enough detectives, where there aren't enough vehicles. There's rural roads in KwaZulu-Natal where you're a long way from a police station.
Okay, sorry.
So that's what I'm arguing for, resources.
No, I understand that, Dr. Haas. Maybe I must also, there's quite a few of us here who are from KwaZulu-Natal. So quite a few of us here. Maybe majority of the committee members here are from KZN. So you are talking to people who are familiar with, who were born there, grew up there, activists until you are in Parliament now. So, but I don't get a definite answer to my question. Let me tell you why it's important we must understand you properly.
Please.
When you are engaging with us as members of Parliament, and like I'm saying earlier on, you are demonstrating a very firm assertiveness on certain issues. And immediately when we interrogate those issues, you concede. And you say, no, I didn't mean that. No, then if you say that, I withdraw. It is the same level of passion and enthusiasm with the subject you are engaged on that is reflected on your written statement, which you did alone without anybody challenging you on it. So my question was, and still is, would you agree with me that therefore it doesn't mean that everything as presented here and the level of authoritative assertiveness we have demonstrated in your written script doesn't necessarily mean all of it must be taken as it is?
I want you to take what I put in writing seriously.
And not...
You've got to distinguish between open responses, because I found some of them kind of quite provocative, I guess, because I don't see what your own Boyson's got to do with this, and I don't see... But, I mean, I have agreed with you that anything is, for you, hearsay, because it's been told to me. I have very, very thorough training in interviewing people and assessing people. I ask questions, I ask other questions to try and find out more and try and for them to confirm. I mean, it doesn't help, if you can't sit down and face people. But when you interact with people, things get often more emotional. I'm sorry, this is Parliament. I'm used to these things in academic things where we're all shouting at each other and contradicting each other and things like that. But I want you to distinguish between what I think and write, because when I put things in writing, I'm more careful than when I speak.
Oh, no, then I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chief Whip. And thanks very much, honorable members, for this session. We are going to break and come back after 20 minutes. I have said that we will have a short meeting during break, but I am postponing the meeting when we conclude the session, I mean today's proceedings. Doctor?
Yes.
May we come back at 20 minutes to 7.
Okay.